Welcome to Empathetic Leadership Fundamentals, Unlocking Greater Well-Being, Inclusivity, and Happiness. I'm Michael Tennant, founder and CEO of Curiosity Lab, creator of Actually Curious, The Conversation Game, and Movement to Spread Empathy, and author of The Power of Empathy. The Five Phases of Empathy is a model I developed out of my personal experiences with research, therapy, addiction recovery, men's emotional leadership training, and most importantly, through the loss of loved ones and finding healing. My personal story is that in 2019, just before the global pandemic and racial equity revolution of 2020, I lost two of my older brothers within 3 months of one another. I realized at that point I didn't actually have the emotional awareness and healthy coping mechanisms to confront the sadness, anger, and grief that showed up. I had some of the tools, but I didn't have a clear process to turn to in such challenging times. I had worked on healing and personal growth on my own, intermittently. But when those losses arrived, I had to figure out how to survive. My research and practices in mindfulness, therapy, and deepening my exploration into somatic awareness and healing through becoming trained as a men's emotional leadership coach by the organization Everyman. Among other courses and self taught training that I sought, I came up with a linear model for teaching empathy for one's own well being and happiness and for the world around them. As I learned how to be with my emotions and to actually channel those emotions into my purpose, I realized during the pandemic and during the racial reckoning that this knowledge had a lot of value for others. I realized that the same emotions of anger and fear and sadness and shame that I didn't know how to confront were the same emotions that were coming up in organizations that were confronting bias and change. These emotions show up in leaders who are trying to create safe spaces, leaders trying to seed power, trying to create spaces that are safe for the most at risk groups within their leadership and communities. Well, I thought that we all needed to learn how to confront these emotions. And so I channeled my own grief and healing into what's now called the five phases of empathy. We're going to dive into these five phases of empathy together during this workshop. This workshop has been brought to organizations like NASA, Johns Hopkins, Stanford, IDEO, and Bumble. And the reason this work has caught on is it resonates with people because the need for empathy is a total market need, almost globally. We're all facing a rising mental health crisis that's affecting all ages. In particular, in the US, over 50 million adults have reported suffering from mental health conditions, according to Mental Health America. In 2019, it was reported that 1 in 8 people globally, or 970 million people around the world, were living with a mental health disorder or with anxiety or depression, according to the World Health Organization. Mental Health America goes on to report that 10% of America's young people cope with severe to major depression. In our workplaces, we're seeing the need to adapt to the future of work dynamics, including AI and issues related to workplace safety, diversity, and sustainability. From an economic standpoint, the mandate to take diversity serious and to foster diverse and inclusive workplaces has created a global market for DE&I that is projected to reach $15 billion by 2026, growing at 13% annually. Polarization sadly continues to get even greater and has made its way into our places of work, our hospitals, and our schools. We need people in the middle, equipped with the emotional proficiency to confront the radical and polarized views on either side and bring that into healthy discourse. And then finally, the way we work is changing completely as a result of our past and present with COVID 19. but not turning back to that normal. With the concurrent stressors of mental health and environmental issues and polarization, coupled with our underlying needs to affect burnout and high turnout rates, the World Health Organization estimates that globally $1 trillion is being lost due to time off for work, due to loss of productivity related to mental health and burnout. With this great opportunity we're presenting to practice empathy as the solution, we're also seeing polling results from the experts at Ernst& Young that would support this. In 2022, EY reported that 87% of US workers say empathy leads to better leadership, and 52% of US workers perceive corporate attempts at empathy to be inauthentic and shallow. We at Curiosity Lab are here to help close that gap. Curiosity Lab exists to make empathy easy and accessible, maybe even fun, to learn and to teach. We do that through games like Actually Curious. We do that through content like my book, The Power of Empathy, which is out October 24th at booksellers everywhere. We do that through technology like valuesexercise.com. Go there, take it, and assess your values and repurpose. And we do that through our workshops, which are intended to help infuse empathy and inclusivity into the core of individuals and organizations. At the core of our movement to spread empathy is Actually Curious, the conversation game. It sits alongside our learning and development model, the 5 phases of empathy, and acts as a powerful tool to make really learning empathy accessible by starting light and leveling up as we get deeper. And the more intimate conversations we have with participants, we learn to build trust within ourselves and with one another. While practicing empathy through the 5 phases of empathy explored in this workshop, our objective is to help you get greater experience feeling, seeing, holding empathy. And you'll get the most of this workshop if you lean in. Exaggerate the exercises. Bring your practices into your daily awareness and activities. Try to set an intention to be present and to stretch your comfort zone. That will allow you to get more out of each lesson and each practice in empathy. The 5 phases of empathy, which is also the subject matter of my book, The Power of Empathy, starts at the language of feelings and builds up into living with abundance. Phase 1, the language of feelings. This phase will give us a shared lexicon on empathy. It will also get us practicing a tool that most of us don't get to practice on a daily basis. It's called somatic awareness. Phase 2, the importance of intention, is where we get to, perhaps for the first time, identify our felt values and our purpose statement. Not from an external place, but from a place that feels really truly born from us internally. And we'll get to put that to work. We'll get to put our values and our purpose to work here today. Phase 3, channeling purpose, is really about understanding our choice in where we put our energy. And then we have the tools to tap into our inner voice and the awareness of our emotions, our knowing, and what they're trying to tell us. We're able to look back through our values and to make more intentional choices about where to put our time and our attention. Phase 4, from empathy to impact, is about building a ritual around assessing where we use our energy. We audit our circles in which we spend our time, and we start to enforce our boundaries. Finally, in phase 5, living with abundance, we build this into a practice. We build empathy into repetition, into muscle memory, into trust. We are much more attuned to both our own limiting beliefs as well as the external situations, emotions that mean to steal time and energy from us. With that muscle memory in place, We move from difficult conversations and boundary settings into greater ease. Personally and financially, we start to receive with ease and almost through miracles entering our lives. Now, before we dive in, let's review and agree to some ground rules that will support you in exploring your emotions. The ground rules will also support you in creating the right container for supporting others. These ground rules help you to really explore yourself as deeply as possible, but also to share and be vulnerable amongst peers, friends, and family. The first ground rule is vault. What's explored here stays here. What's learned here leaves here. This means that you approach this exploration as sacred and choose to discuss and share intentionally, remaining mindful of boundaries, time appropriateness, confidentiality. Second is your experience. To keep yourself focused on really diving into your own experience, we will speak from I statements instead of yous. This will keep you grounded in your own experience, and I'll give you reminders throughout this workshop. The third is safe space. We're going to explore questions and we're going to dive into our individual reactions. This is not a forum for debate, this is a forum for curiosity. Fourth is notes. Pay attention to your reactions, and when you sense something worth noting, a sensation in your body, maybe a mental block, a surprise, write that down. Use it as an opportunity to continue to listen curiously to yourself. Ask questions like, why'd that urge arise? Hey, I must be trying to satisfy that urge. Instead of that, let me use this as an opportunity for learning about myself. And fifth, manage your schedule. Try to keep each exercise under 30 minutes. Practice what that balance looks like for you to reflect vulnerably while also being aware of your energy and the amount of time that you commit to this work. There's a lot to be learned there. And finally, sixth, no questions asked. If you find yourself in some territory where you've gone deeper into reflection and you've shared more with yourself or with anyone else than you've expected, than you're comfortable with, perhaps it's bringing up emotions maybe that you're not comfortable with being with yet. You are your own best advocate in this situation. You can stop. No questions asked. Take whatever space you need. So, to get us warmed up and connected to our own intentions for this workshop, take a moment now and journal on the following prompt. We'll get to revisit this question again at the end of the workshop. This question comes from the Actually Curious Human Rights Edition. And the question is, what does empathy mean to you? With the knowledge and tools that you have right now, answer the question. What does empathy mean to you? And when you're done with that, I'll see you back at phase 1.